At my brother's wedding, they handed me a security badge and told me to stay with the staff. I smiled and took it. They had no idea I owned the venue. Let me back up. 3 years ago, I was the golden child of the Chen family. Olivia Chen, youngest daughter, graduated top of my class at Cornell, engaged to the son of my father's business partner. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. My fiancé got caught in a fraud scandal. His family's company had been running a Ponzi scheme, and when it collapsed, it took down dozens of families with it. My parents' closest friends lost their retirement savings. The Chens became a joke at the country club. Here's the thing, though, I had nothing to do with it. I found out about the fraud the same day the FBI showed up. I broke off the engagement immediately, cooperated with investigators, even testified against his family. But none of that mattered to my parents. "You brought shame to this family," my mother said, standing in our living room while my father wouldn't even look at me. "We can't show our faces anywhere because of you." "I didn't do anything wrong," I said. "I was a victim too. You chose him. You were going to marry into that family. That makes it your fault." My brother Marcus stood behind them, silent. We'd been close once. When I looked at him, hoping he'd say something, anything, he just shook his head and walked away. They didn't just cut me off financially. They erased me, announced to everyone that I'd moved abroad indefinitely, removed me from family photos on social media. When people asked about me, my mother would change the subject or say, "We don't talk about her anymore." I left Chicago with 2 suitcases and $3,000 to my name. I was 25 years old and starting over in a city where nobody knew the Chen name. That was 3 years ago. Now I own one of the most exclusive wedding venues in the Midwest. Riverside Estate, 20 acres of manicured gardens, a restored Victorian mansion, and waterfront views that make photographers weep. I built my business from the ground up, working 16-hour days, taking out loans I had no business qualifying for, betting everything on myself. It paid off. Last year, Riverside Estate did 46 weddings at an average of $200,000 each. We're booked solid 18 months in advance. Every major magazine has featured us. I'm 28 years old and I own this. My family doesn't know any of this. As far as they're concerned, I'm still the disgraced daughter who ran away in shame. Which brings us to 6 weeks ago, when my business phone rang. Riverside Estate. This is Olivia. Hi, yes. I'm calling on behalf of the Harper family. We're planning a wedding, and we're hoping you might have availability in November. The Harper family. I knew that name. Real estate developers who owned half the downtown Chicago skyline. This would be a massive booking. "Let me check our calendar," I said, pulling up my system. "What's the date you're looking at?" "November 16th. I had that date open. One of my rare cancellations. That date is available. Can I ask who the couple is?" "Marcus Chen and Victoria Harper." I stopped breathing. Marcus. My brother Marcus was marrying into the Harper family. "Hello? Are you still there?" "Yes. Sorry. Bad connection. My mind was racing. That date is available. Who should I put as the main contact?" "Elizabeth Chen will be handling the planning. She's the groom's mother." "My mother? Of course she was." "Perfect. I'll email over our information packet. We require a consultation visit before booking." "Wonderful. Mrs. Chen is very particular, so she'll want to see everything." I hung up and stared at my computer screen. Marcus was getting married, to a Harper. This wasn't just a wedding, this was a dynasty merger. The Chens had clearly clawed their way back into high society, and this marriage would cement their return. And they'd chosen my venue without knowing it was mine. I could have declined the booking. Told them we were suddenly unavailable. It would have been the smart thing to do, the mature thing. But I was 28 years old, and I'd spent 3 years building something from nothing while my family pretended I didn't exist. I took the booking. The consultation was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon. I dressed carefully, professional but not too formal. Dark jeans, a nice blouse, my hair in a simple ponytail. I looked like what I was, the owner of a successful small business. But I also looked different enough from the polished, designer-wearing girl they'd disowned that I was betting they wouldn't recognize me immediately. I was right. My mother walked into my office in head-to-toe Chanel, her hair perfect, her makeup flawless. Behind her was a younger woman who had to be Victoria blonde, elegant, the kind of pretty that comes from good genetics and better skincare. Marcus came last, and my heart did something complicated when I saw him. He looked older. Tired, maybe, despite the expensive suit. "Mrs. Chen," I said, standing and extending my hand. "I'm Olivia, the owner of Riverside Estate. It's lovely to meet you." My mother shook my hand without really looking at me. She was too busy scanning the office, judging every detail. "This is my son, Marcus, and his fiancée, Victoria Harper." "Congratulations," I said, shaking their hands. Marcus's grip was brief, his eyes already moving past me to the window. He didn't recognize me. 3 years. And he didn't recognize his own sister. "We're looking for something elegant," my mother said. "This wedding will have over 300 guests. Victoria's father is inviting several city council members, and we'll have press coverage. Everything must be absolutely perfect." "Of course. Why don't I give you the tour and we can discuss your vision?" I showed them the grounds. The ceremony garden with its rose arbors, the ballroom with its crystal chandeliers, the bridal suite with its marble bathroom and private terrace. My mother criticized everything. The chairs were too simple. The lighting needed adjustment. Did we really think those linens were adequate? Victoria just smiled and nodded. Marcus checked his phone. "The catering is in-house?" my mother asked as we walked back toward the mansion. "Yes, we have an award-winning chef. I can arrange a tasting." "That's fine. What about the coordinator? Who will be managing the day of logistics?" "I handle all my weddings personally." My mother finally really looked at me. For a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes, a moment of recognition, maybe, or confusion. But then she just sniffed. "How old are you?" 28. "And you run this entire operation yourself?" "I have a staff of 15. But yes, I'm the owner and primary coordinator." "That's—" She paused, and I could see her trying to decide between impressed and dismissive, unusual for someone so young. "I've been in the industry since I was 25. Marcus looked up from his phone. "Did you go to school for this?" "Cornell, actually. Hotel administration." Now my mother was staring. I watched the pieces slowly click together in her mind. Cornell, 28 years old, the right age, the right background, and something about my face that she couldn't quite place. "Have we met before?" she asked slowly. "I don't think so," I said smoothly. I'm sure I'd remember. But she was still watching me with narrowed eyes. I needed to move this along before she figured it out. "So, should we discuss pricing?" "For a November 16th wedding with 300 guests, full service, we're looking at approximately $400,000. The number was higher than my usual, but not suspiciously so. For a wedding of this scale, with this kind of guest list, it was actually reasonable." Victoria winced slightly. Marcus's jaw tightened, but my mother just nodded. "We'll need to discuss it, of course. Can you send over a detailed proposal?" "Absolutely. Should I send it to your email?" "Yes. Elizabeth Chen, Chen." I typed it into my tablet, letting my face stay neutral even as I wrote my own family name. "One more thing," my mother said as they prepared to leave. "We'll need absolute discretion. This wedding is going to be high profile, and we can't have any issues. The Chen family has very high standards, and we expect perfection." "I understand completely, Mrs. Chen. Discretion is part of our service." After they left, I sat in my office for a long time. I could still back out, send an email saying we'd had an unexpected conflict, recommend another venue. It would be easy. Instead, I confirmed the booking. Over the next 6 weeks, I played my role perfectly. The professional venue owner, slightly deferential to my demanding clients, always accommodating. My mother called at least 3 times a week with new requirements. The flower arrangements needed to be redesigned. The menu needed different options. Could we get different chairs? Different linens? What about the lighting? Could we install something more dramatic? I said yes to everything. Sent revised quotes. Ordered special inventory. I was making this the most expensive wedding I'd ever coordinated, and she was paying for every upgrade without question. During the rehearsal dinner week, I finally overheard what I'd been waiting for. I was in the hallway outside the ballroom, checking on the setup, when I heard voices from inside. The wedding party had arrived early. I stayed quiet, listening. "Thank God the failure isn't here to ruin your pictures," a woman's voice said. That was my Aunt Linda. "Please don't mention her," my mother said. This weekend is about Marcus and Victoria. I don't want that name spoken. I still can't believe what she did to your family, Elizabeth, bringing all that shame. She made her choices. My mother cut her off. And we made ours. As far as I'm concerned, I have one child now. I stood in that hallway, listening to my mother erase me again, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not sadness. Not anymore. Just a calm, clear certainty about what I was going to do. The rehearsal went smoothly. My mother continued to not quite recognize me, though I caught her staring a few times. Marcus ignored me completely, too focused on playing the perfect groom. Victoria was actually the only one who said please and thank you, who asked my opinion on things. After the rehearsal, Marcus pulled me aside. Hey, can I ask you something? Of course. My mom keeps saying, you seem familiar. Have you done any other weddings for our family friends? Maybe someone we know? I looked at my brother, my older brother who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd walked me to school every day until he went to college, who'd stopped talking to me the moment it became inconvenient. I don't think so, I said. I'm sure your mother is just used to the best, and she recognizes quality service. He nodded, satisfied. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. He started to walk away, then turned back. You're doing a great job, by the way. I know my mom is. A lot. But you've been really patient with her. It's my job, I said. That night, I went home to my apartment and looked at the photos I still had from before. Me and Marcus at my college graduation. Family dinners, Christmas mornings. A whole life that my family had decided didn't count anymore. I'd invited them back into my life by taking this booking in a way they didn't know. I'd been professional, patient, perfect, even. Everything they'd wanted me to be. And now I was going to show them exactly what they'd thrown away. The wedding day was unseasonably warm for November. Perfect. Everything was perfect. The flowers arrived on time. The caterers were set up and ready. The photographer was capturing gorgeous pre-ceremony shots in the gardens. My staff moved through their duties flawlessly because I'd trained them well. I wore a dark navy dress professional. Elegant. Expensive. I'd had my hair done at a salon that morning. When I looked in the mirror, I saw myself clearly. Olivia Chen, successful business owner, completely in control. Guests began arriving at 3 o'clock. I greeted them at the entrance, directing them to the ceremony garden, my hospitality smile fixed in place. I recognized so many faces from my old life, my parents' friends, my father's business partners, people who'd watched me grow up and then pretended I'd never existed. None of them recognized me. At 3:30, my mother came down the main staircase in a pale gold dress that probably cost more than my first car. She looked radiant, proud. This was her moment, her son marrying into one of Chicago's most powerful families, redemption for the shame I'd supposedly caused. She saw me standing near the entrance and walked over. Everything is ready? Everything's perfect, Mrs. Chen. Good. Victoria's father is here, and I need this to be flawless. It will be. She nodded and started to walk away. Then she stopped and turned back. Really looked at me for the first time all day. You really do look so familiar. It's been bothering me for weeks. Are you sure we haven't met? I smiled. I'm sure you would remember, Mrs. Chen. She frowned, studying my face. I could see her mind working, trying to place me. Then Marcus appeared at her elbow. Mom, we need you for photos. Yes, of course. But she was still looking at me. There's something about your eyes. Mom, Marcus said again, more insistent. She walked away, but I felt her glancing back at me. The ceremony was starting. Guests were seated. I stood at the back, watching everything run smoothly. The string quartet played. The wedding party walked down the aisle. Victoria appeared in her dress custom Vera Wang, probably $200,000, and she looked genuinely happy. For a moment, I actually felt bad for her. She seemed nice. She didn't deserve what was about to happen. But then I saw my father, standing to walk Marcus down the aisle. I'd called him 17 times after they cut me off. He never answered, never called back, never sent a single text to ask if I was okay. Marcus started walking. He looked nervous but happy. He'd done well for himself. The shame of my scandal hadn't stuck to him the way it had stuck to me. He'd gotten to keep everything while I'd lost it all. They reached the altar. The officiant began speaking. Dearly beloved. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Doe, Victoria Harper. From Olivia Chen, Riverside Estate. Subject, required reading. I hit send. Then I walked down the side aisle toward the front. A few guests glanced at me, confused why was the coordinator walking during the ceremony. My mother saw me and her face tightened with annoyance. I reached the front row and stopped, looked directly at my mother, at my father, at Marcus, standing at the altar, starting to realize something was wrong. I'm sorry to interrupt, I said, my voice clear and steady. But there's something everyone should know before this ceremony continues. My mother stood up, her face pale. What are you doing? Who are you? I'm Olivia Chen, I said. Your daughter, the one you erased 3 years ago. The silence was instantaneous and absolute. Every head turned. My father's face went gray. Marcus stared at me like I'd appeared out of thin air. That's impossible, my mother whispered. Olivia is gone? Disappeared? Dead to you? I smiled. No, I'm right here. I've been here the whole time. I own this venue. Every decision you made, every upgrade you paid for, every detail you obsessed over, you were working with me. Marcus found his voice. That's not possible. We would have recognized me? I shook my head. You saw what you expected to see. A competent wedding coordinator, someone to serve you, not your sister. Victoria had her phone out. She was reading something, her face getting progressively more horrified. Marcus, she said quietly. Marcus, you need to see this. I'd kept my email simple, just the truth, with documentation. Screenshots of every conversation with my mother, where she'd called me a failure, a shame, an embarrassment. Copies of the family announcement that I'd moved abroad. Messages from family members agreeing to pretend I didn't exist. All of it, carefully saved for 3 years. And one more thing. Bank records showing that the anonymous investor who'd provided the emergency capital for Marcus's startup last year, the one that had saved his business, that was me. I'd given my brother $200,000 through a shell company, and he'd never known. I didn't come here for reconciliation, I said, my voice carrying across the stunned, silent crowd. I came here to show you what you threw away. You disowned me for something I didn't do. You pretended I was dead because it was convenient. And I built something anyway. I built this. I gestured at the venue around us, my venue, my business, my success. Every person in this room is sitting on my property, eating food I chose, surrounded by flowers I approved. You're here because I allowed it. And now, I pulled out a document, the contract they'd signed. I'd read it very carefully when I'd drawn it up. Section 7, Clause 3. Riverside Estate reserves the right to terminate service for any reason with immediate effect if the client has engaged in deception, fraud, or misrepresentation. What are you talking about? My mother said, her voice shaking. We didn't. You signed this contract as Elizabeth Chen, representing the Chen family, but you failed to disclose that you'd legally disowned a family member, that you've been publicly claiming for 3 years that you only have one child. That's misrepresentation, Mrs. Chen. You represented yourselves as a different family than you actually are. It was a stretch legally. My lawyer had told me that. But it didn't matter, because I wasn't doing this for legal reasons. This wedding is over, I said. You have 30 minutes to leave my property. All of you. The chaos was immediate. Guests talking over each other, Victoria crying, Marcus trying to get to me. But I stepped back, my staff already moving in. I'd prepared them for this too. They were forming a polite but firm barrier between me and my family. Olivia, please, Marcus said. Please, we can. We can what? Talk? You had 3 years to talk to me. 3 years to pick up the phone. You chose not to. My mother had found her voice. You vindictive little, you planned this. You brought us here just to humiliate us. No, I said. I brought you here to show you that I didn't need you. That I succeeded without you. That every time you told someone I was gone, I was actually building something better than anything you ever gave me. This is insane, my father said, speaking for the first time. You can't just, we have contracts. We paid. Your deposit is non-refundable. Section 12. You signed it. I looked at him. You taught me to read contracts carefully, Dad. Remember? You used to quiz me at dinner about the fine print. His face crumbled. Security was moving through now, politely but firmly asking guests to leave. The beautiful ceremony garden was dissolving into chaos. 300 people in formal wear, confused and angry, streaming toward the exits. Victoria's father was on the phone, probably with his lawyer. My mother was crying, actual tears running down her makeup. Marcus stood at the altar, his expensive suit perfect, his dreams falling apart around him. He looked at me across the crowd, and for a second, I saw the brother I used to know, the one who'd loved me before it became complicated. "I'm sorry," he said, and his voice broke. "Liv, I'm so sorry. I'd waited 3 years to hear those words. I'd imagined him saying them 1,000 times, but now that he was, I realized I didn't need them anymore." "Too late," I said. I turned and walked back toward the mansion. Behind me, my wedding, my parents' carefully planned social redemption was collapsing. The press that my mother had been so excited about was capturing every moment. By tonight, this would be everywhere. The Chen family, who'd clawed their way back into society, publicly humiliated at their son's wedding. My assistant met me at the door. "The catering for the reception? Cancel it. Donate the food to Street Mary's shelter. They can use it. And the flowers? Same. Donate everything that's salvageable." I walked to my office and closed the door. Through the window, I could see the last of the guests filing out. My mother was being helped into a car by my father. She looked 20 years older than she had an hour ago. Victoria was crying in her ruined wedding dress. Marcus just stood there, staring at nothing. My phone started ringing. Press, probably. I ignored it. Instead, I opened my laptop and looked at my business calendar. 5 more weddings this month, a fully booked spring season. A waiting list of couples who'd pay anything to have their perfect day at Riverside Estate. I'd built this. Not them. Me. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Victoria. I don't know you, but I read your email. I'm so sorry for what they did to you. And I'm sorry I'm losing Marcus over this. But you were right to do what you did. Some families don't deserve the love they're given." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed back, "I'm sorry about your wedding day. You deserved better." Her response came quickly. "So did you." The media coverage started within an hour. Someone had filmed the whole thing. By evening, it was trending on 3 different platforms. "Disowned daughter cancels brother's wedding" was getting 10,000 retweets per minute. The comments were split, half calling me a psychopath, half calling me a hero. My business phone started ringing with cancellation requests. Then it started ringing with new booking requests. Apparently, some people wanted their wedding at the venue where the most dramatic family confrontation in Chicago history had gone down. I turned off my phone and went home. The fallout took weeks to fully unfold. Marcus's business partnership with the Harpers dissolved. My father's company lost 3 major clients. My mother resigned from the boards of 2 charities. They tried to sue me, but their lawyer took one look at the contract and told them they didn't have a case. Marcus tried to contact me 14 times in the first week. I never responded. My mother sent a letter. 5 pages, handwritten. It was full of justifications and excuses, and, "Please understand, we were just trying to protect the family." At the end, she wrote, "You're still my daughter. You'll always be my daughter. Please come home." I burned it. 3 months later, I was at a coffee shop when I saw Marcus walk in. He looked terrible, thinner, older, exhausted. He saw me immediately, hesitated, then walked over. "I'll leave if you want me to," he said. "Sit down." He sat. We looked at each other across the table. "Victoria left me," he said finally. "Her father made it clear that marrying into our family was no longer an option. The business partnership is dead. Dad's company is struggling. Mom hasn't left the house in 2 months." He paused, waiting for me to say something. I didn't. "I deserved this," he said. "We all did. I know that. I wanted you to know that I understand why you did it. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Liv." "Why didn't you defend me?" I asked. 3 years ago, when they decided I was the problem. Why didn't you say something?" "I was scared," he said simply. Dad's business was falling apart. We were losing everything. And they said they convinced me that if we cut ties with you, publicly distanced ourselves, we could save the company, save the family name. He laughed bitterly. Save everything except you. And you believed them. I believed what was convenient to believe. He looked down at his hands. You were always stronger than me. Even when we were kids, you never needed anyone the way I needed them. I thought you'd be fine. And I used that to excuse myself for not fighting for you. I wanted to hate him. I'd been angry for so long that it felt like part of my DNA. But sitting across from him, seeing him broken and honest, I just felt tired. I'm not going to forgive you, I said. Not right now. Maybe not ever. You don't get to be my brother again just because everything fell apart. I know, but I don't hate you either. Not anymore. He nodded. That's more than I deserve. We sat in silence for a moment. Then he stood up. Congratulations, by the way. I saw the article in Chicago Magazine. Riverside Estate is one of the top-rated venues in the Midwest now. I'm proud of you. I should have said that 3 years ago. After he left, I sat there with my coffee, watching people come and go. Normal people living normal lives, with normal families who didn't disown their daughters or cancel their sons' weddings. I'd gotten my revenge. I'd proven I could succeed without them. I'd shown them exactly what they'd lost. But revenge doesn't fill the empty spaces. It doesn't give you back your family, or your past, or the version of yourself who believed that love was unconditional. What it does give you is clarity. And freedom. The freedom to know that you don't need people who treated you like you were disposable, that you can build something from nothing, that you're enough, all by yourself. My phone buzzed. A new client inquiry. A couple looking to book next fall. I read through their message. They'd been together for 8 years, wanted something intimate and elegant. Budget wasn't a concern, but authenticity was. I replied, I'd love to help you create your perfect day. Let's set up a consultation. Because that's what I do now. I create perfect days for people who are starting their lives together. I build moments of joy and beauty, and I run a business that's mine, that I built, that nobody can take away from me. The Chen family is still out there, dealing with the aftermath of that day. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, if destroying their social status and my brother's engagement was too much. But then I remember standing in that hallway, listening to my mother say she only had one child now. I remember 3 years of silence, 3 years of building myself back up from nothing while they pretended I didn't exist. And I know that what I did wasn't about revenge. It was about showing up, being visible, refusing to stay erased. I'm Olivia Chen. I own Riverside Estate, and I'm done being the family secret. I chose myself, and that's the only choice I've made that I'm certain was right.